Hi guys, Zach with Proline and Range here today. We have another video for you, this time on a pretty important topic here in our building, ventilation in the home. Actually, kitchen ventilation. We're gonna be cooking up some bacon today and show you guys exactly why it's so important. We have 3 different cooking scenarios we're gonna use. Firstly, we're gonna cook without venting or using a range hood at all. And then we're also going to use the exact same space using a vented and a ducted range hood where that's gonna vent that air outside. We're also going to cook on a recirculating kit, which uses filters to clean the air. But the coolest part about what we're doing today is testing all of the air that we're cooking in. So we've got a little device, I'll show you guys in a second, but we're gonna monitor the air itself using our range hoods, as well as the different ways that we like to vent or clean the air to get rid of that grease, smoke, and any particles that we have remaining around our houses when we cook. Because as you guys I'm sure know, like I do, cooking bacon, that smell tends to linger, that heat tends to linger. So we're gonna see what we can do today. All right, so before we start cooking, we're gonna take a look at our air quality monitor here. So this is gonna be just kind of a baseline before we start cooking at all on what our air quality looks like. So we can see a couple different things here. We can see the CO2 levels. These numbers here are essentially showing us the particles that are in the air itself. But then we can see the temperature in the room and the humidity that we're cooking around. So obviously as we cook through our 3 different scenarios that I talked about, those numbers are gonna change. And we're gonna show you why having a range hood that can ventilate properly or clean the air through recirculating is so beneficial for you. Like I said, for our first test, we're gonna cook some bacon without using our range hood at all. So we're not gonna vent the air outside or do anything. It's gonna be like we're cooking without one. So we're gonna get some bacon ready and see how it goes for our first test. If we take a look at the reading for the particles that are in the air, we went from 3 to about 82, even over 100 here. So obviously there's stuff in the air that we shouldn't be breathing and it's not being vented outside like it should be. And that's just from using 3 pieces of bacon. And I know a lot of you guys are cooking with a lot more than just 3 pieces of bacon. So as you guys can see there, those numbers got pretty high. Even on that particle reading there, we got all the way up to 80. So what we're gonna try and eliminate here using our range hood at its highest speed is keeping those numbers down. So we're gonna go ahead, throw some more bacon on here, we'll get it cooked up again, and then we'll turn on the range hood and see what we get. Well, there you guys go. That made a pretty big difference there. Almost, 2 times is better on the particle reader there. And then if we're looking at the CO2 as well as the temperature of the room, it was able to do its job really well. If we looked at the capture area just itself, it was doing a great job at containing that smoke, any odors and grease from getting outside of the range hood and traveling into the other parts of the home. It was keeping it locked here inside, going up through the baffle filters and getting vented outside. So I would say the range hood did its job pretty well. Now moving on to our third cooking scenario, we're gonna be using a recirculating range hood. So what this is gonna do to the air is gonna be a little bit different than the traditional ducted and vented range hood. What it's gonna do is take the air in through filters that are going to clean the air and then blow the air back out into the space. But that air is gonna go through cleaning filters that reduce smoke, grease, any particles that go through the air. This is kind of, if you guys live in an apartment or other places like that, they're very common range hoods to have. But as you can see here, we've got our readings back down to a neutral level. So we're gonna throw that bacon back on the range hood, back on the cooktop here actually, and then we're gonna see what the range hood can do for us. We've got our induction cooktop here turned on. We're heating up the pan that we're gonna place our bacon inside of. And before we start cooking, we're gonna turn our range hood on. That way it can start working most efficiently. So make sure you guys turn these on before you start cooking. So as you guys can see, we have turned the range hood off just so you guys can hear me, but it just got done doing its thing, cleaning up that air for us, and we're about at that 15 number. So a little bit in between having no ventilation at all, right? So better than not venting out any air. It's still going into the filters and cleaning up that air, getting rid of any grease, smoke, and odors, but not as efficient as ducting our range hood and getting that air outside of the home. So as we wrap up a couple of our little experiments here, you guys can obviously see with the recirculating range hood, what it does best is remove that smoke from just hanging around in the air. So again, like I said, it's still taking in that air and it's doing its job with the filters to clean the air from any grease, smoke, and odors. But let's just do a quick recap. So we cooked without using any ventilation at all. We had standing smoke in the air, lingering, moisture, heat, odors, things like that from not venting any of our air. Obviously, we had the highest, signaling there on our monitor for air quality, temperature, humidity, all of those things. We then cooked in that same area, turning on our range hood that's vented outside of the home, and we could see a clear difference in efficiency at removing those odors, smokes, and greases. And then finally, with the recirculating kit, a great option for removing some of that standing air in the room, but it does rely on those filters that do need to be replaced every 3 to 6 months, depending on the type of cooking that you guys do, in order to, clean that air and work at its best. What we're able to show you guys today was possible because of the way that we installed our range hoods and planned everything out. So we have range hoods that have a proper capture area over our cooking space, whether that's a kitchen range or a cooktop like we use today. We have some space on each side of the range or the cooktop to make up for the smoke kind of billowing around the side. We have a proper capture area for that smoke so we can remove it most efficiently. So focusing on proper sizing and things that you guys need to be doing in your home is important. We also want to focus on the blower and the CFM inside of our units themselves. So today what we did was cooking bacon, but what you guys might be doing at home is a little different. So at Proline range hoods, we have tons of options when it comes to sizing, as well as power of the blower in the range hoods. So make sure you're selecting the right product when it comes to removing that air from your home. If you guys do more heavy duty cooking, we have options of a lot higher CFM, a lot more power that moves that air outside of the home. A lot of the questions we get about installing our range hoods is the proper ductwork for our more standard range hoods that vent that air outside. So make sure you guys are using proper sizing on your ductwork. It impacts a lot of things, whether that's efficiency in the home, that can really change and impact your guys' energy bills just from losing out on air there. You guys can call us regarding any questions for your ductwork or the installation process. We're happy to help to make sure those things get done right. Also, there's lots of other things like gas requires more ventilation than electric. Grilling and frying requires more than just boiling. So there's a lot to think of when it goes into these products. Also, remember that larger spaces do need more airflow, and that poor design can lead to higher costs in heating and cooling. Also, on top of that, poor venting can lead to worse air quality in your home. At the end of the day, these range hoods or recirculating range hoods are so important for keeping those particles out of the air. That smoke, heat, moisture, odors, all those things we don't want lingering in the home, and we don't want to breathe those or have our family or friends breathe those while we're using our cooking spaces. So check out any of our range hoods at ProlineRangeHoods.com. If you guys have any further questions on this, we have lots of topics on airflow. We're absolute experts at it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. We cooked a lot of bacon that I've got to go eat, so that's the end of me, but I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thanks so much.